While the campaign is over, our work on this movement is now really just beginning. The forgotten men and women of our country will be forgotten no longer.
Donald Trump had a very strong political pedigree. From the very start, hanging around with his father as he learned the construction business and learned the real estate field, he would follow his father around to collect rents, to do the work of the real estate business. And he quickly learned how political that industry is. You've got to deal with politicians, you've got to deal with the mob, you've got to deal with the unions, you've got to deal with the neighbors. And so you learn how to put deals together and you learn how to work the system.
Nobody knows the system better than me. Which is why I alone can fix it.
From Donald Trump's very first big deal, which was converting the decrepit Commodore Hotel across the street from Grand Central Station in New York City into the Grand Hyatt, a big renovation job way beyond anything he'd done before at that very young age. When he started working out that deal, he realized that he needed a lot of help. He used political connections that he had gotten from his father as well as himself, all in service of getting the tax breaks and incentives that he needed to make this project a guaranteed profitable success. One thing Donald Trump learned very early on from his father was that if you're going to have specific ideological principles, you're not going to get anywhere. You're not going to get your buildings built in New York City. The only way you're going to do that is to play the field.
I give to everybody. When they call, I give. And you know what? When I need something from them, they are there for me.
He's changed party registration 6 times. He's been a Democrat, a Republican, a Reform Party candidate, and back to Democrat and back to Republican. The typical labels and ideologies that most people use to define themselves really never mattered to Donald Trump.
I humbly and gratefully accept your nomination for the presidency of the United States.
He's been toying with the idea of running for office for more than 35 years.
Would you like to be the President of the United States?
I really don't believe I would run it, but I would like to see somebody as the president who could do the job.
This sounds like political presidential talk to me, and I know people have talked to you about whether or not you want to run. Would you ever?
Probably not, but I do get tired of seeing what's happening with this country, and if it got so bad, I would never want to rule it out.
But you have said that if you ran for president, you'd win.
I think I'd have a very good chance. I mean, I like to win. When I do something, I like to win.
Beginning in the 1990s, Donald Trump went through a very rough period, a series of corporate bankruptcies, a real diminution of his power and of his public reputation. Although he'd had this great success as this purported billionaire who put up buildings and put his name on virtually everything you could put your name on, he did go through this very rough time where he thought that he might not come out of it. And part of how he did get out of it was to shift his business model from building buildings to putting his name on things, selling his name, selling his image.
I like the little bit further away better. I like that. I love that, the look of that. Let's see.
I'll give you eye line.
Hold it right there.
Beginning about 15 years ago, he was enraptured with the idea of reaching a broader public through his own TV show. And when Mark Burnett, the producer of Survivor, came along with an idea for a new show, The Apprentice, this was his chance to get across the idea that he was a serious businessman who was terrific at making decisions and who was a born leader. It solidified this image of Donald Trump as someone who was decisive, not politically correct, and willing to tell people where they stood in blunt, plain-spoken language.
You're fired. You're fired. You're all fired.
He wants to be provocative, he wants to be talked about. That, I think, is his prime motivation. It's all about wanting to be at the center of the action and to be perceived as successful. In the end, He has always wanted to try his hand at politics. This was really something that he had been thinking about for most of his adult life.
I look very much forward to being your president. And hopefully at the end of 2 years or 3 years or 4 years or maybe even 8 years, you will say that that was something that you really were very proud to do. And I love this country. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. So great.